Welcome back, everybody, to the Roads We've Traveled podcast. My name is AJ Pelletier. Thank you again for tuning in and subscribing. I'd appreciate it more than you know. Yeah, things are okay. I've got a long weekend right now. Unfortunately, it's raining out. I wish I was out hiking right now, but it is what it is, So I'm taking this time for me. I'm relaxing, hanging out, checking out some new shows that I haven't watched before and, catching up on work, like this podcast for you guys. So again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Tell your friends. I got a great guest today, a new guest to the show, and I got a chance to meet him for the first time and chat and everything. Mr. Christopher Rowan. Chris is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor. He's also an MMA fighter. He's got big influences from like UFC and stuff like that. That's how he wanted to be an MMA fighter and everything. It was really cool. Meeting Chris for the first time and getting to know him. He opens up a lot about his battles with depression, anxiety, stuff like that. We also talked a lot about CBT, which is something that I learned from my therapist that, we talk about in this episode, which is a way of like just when you're feeling down and your anxiety's like catching up or whatever, or you just feeling depressed, it's a way to like calm down and relax with ways to like breathing techniques and words you could say to yourself, stuff like that, to kind of just switch your brain to a more positive state of mind to get you out of that funk and like bring you more grounded, kind of thing. So we talk a little bit about it in this episode. But yeah, it was really great talking to Chris, getting to know him and everything like that. I'd like to get him back on the show eventually, but let's just get right into it. Here is episode 35 of the Roads We've Traveled podcast with Mr. Christopher Rowan. To the Roads We've Traveled podcast, episode 35. My name is AJ Pelletier, and thank you again for tuning in, subscribing, and all that great stuff. I appreciate it. I got a great guest today. Just recently met online through a mutual friend, MJ. Thanks a lot for the suggestion, buddy. We got MMA, Krav Maga, and BJJ instructor, Mr. Christopher Rowan. Chris, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I like having new guests on and getting to know them and stuff. So, how's life for you and the family during the pandemic?
Things have been good. I consider us very lucky. Nobody we know got sick. Neither of us lost our job.
That's good.
It's, knock on wood, it's gone as well as it can. We had the luxury of being able to work from home. No hiccups. The kids had some time off, from school. They were remote learning initially, but once the new school year started up, they went back pretty much full time. So
were there a lot of challenges with the remote learning?
There was. That was definitely difficult initially. I had to relearn some algebra, all that good stuff, but they're good kids. They adapted pretty quickly. So
how many kids do you have?
3.
Oh, okay.
So we got one just started high school, the oldest, and he's in a tech school. He's going to Wilcox, and he loves it. He took like a fish to water he's doing precision machining. And
no kidding, that's what I do.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's I'm technically in manufacturing. I'm a CNC operator at night. I'm trying to get out of it, but I've done it long enough, and my body just can't physically handle it anymore. So. Right. But
I hear you. Yeah, he loves it so far. He's made a couple of he's machined out some clamps, and Grandpa took him to work, and he couldn't be happier. So
I remember my freshman year, I made a C clamp. What else did I make? I made like a hole punch, for screws and like walls or whatever, like a little punch in the wall where you could get the screws started if you're like hanging a frame or something.
Yeah.
What else did I make? I made a tripod my junior year out of aluminum for like a video camera and stuff, and the principal's office seemed to really dig it a lot, but okay. the shop department teacher was not happy about it because I took all the aluminum he had planned for the freshmen, so
That's too funny.
Good old Caner Tech. Anyway.
Yeah, he's going to Wilcox, so
Nice.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
But no, yeah, to get back to the original question,
Sorry.
no, you're good. We couldn't have asked for, better set of circumstances. I know how much other people lost and the struggles that other people have gone through. And, I consider us lucky to, weather the storm pretty easily.
That's good, man. That's all we can do. You know what I mean? And thankfully, things are slowly coming to an end. I know things are finally reopening a lot. The mask mandate has been lifted pretty much mostly everywhere.
Right.
I'm still wearing a mask. I'm fully vaccinated, but I still until we reach herd immunity, which I don't think is going to happen. But I mean, probably until next year, I'm probably still going to wear a mask. But that's just me. So
I have no problem masking up myself. I mean, it's really not that difficult of a thing to do or to ask of people. And I got my first shot. I'm due for my next one on the 19th, actually.
Oh, nice.
Right when the mandates are going to lift. So I'll be full tilt, ready to go.
I got the J&J one 3 days before they recalled it.
Mine was supposed to be Johnson & Johnson, and 3 days before my appointment, they recalled it. So the flip side of that coin.
I got lucky though, because I mean, I got in because my sister works for a pharmacy. I got in, that's all they had at the time, and I was just I either wait a month and try to schedule an appointment when they first started letting people our age get our vaccinations. Finally, it was trying to get an appointment was fucking impossible.
Right.
And my sister was like, I can get you in. Just give me a day, when you can come in. I'm like, all right, I'll be in this Saturday, around noon or something like that. She's like, yep, absolutely, no problem. So I got in, got the vaccination. I think I got a little bit of fatigue the next day. It wasn't anything major. And then I was fine. I was perfectly fine after that. And then by that Tuesday, they had the recall for 6 people out of 7 million. And I'm right? Fuck me, right? You know what I mean?
Well, I had Moderna, and I know it's the second shot where they're prepared to be wiped out. But that first shot, so I make mead at home. I brew my own mead.
Oh, cool.
And I was racking it, switching from one bottle to the other, and I was doing a little bit of sampling and just quality control. And I had maybe half a glass, and all of a sudden I'm like, God, I'm really tired. I was like, I don't know if the mead is hitting me. I went and laid down, and I woke up, and I was like, that was really strange. And my girlfriend's like, you got the vaccine today, right, you idiot? It's not. It's not the meat. You might be onto something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I've heard a lot about the second vax knocking you out. It's happened to a lot of friends of mine, but definitely better to get it on a day off where you don't have to go anywhere.
Right. So I got people on standby because it's a Wednesday, so that's one of the nights I teach. So I got a buddy I might not be there. So
got to do what you got to do. Get your vaccines, everybody. I don't care how far you are against it. It's science. It's helping. So, and I'm perfectly fine. It's been well over a month since I got vaccinated, and I'm still here.
I think but caught more side effects if there were any by now.
Exactly. And plus, 6 people out of 7 million people that got the vaccine, that specific vaccine already,
right.
The numbers
it's still 6 people.
It is 6 people. Yeah.
Why they caused it, and that's definitely the right thing to do. But
there were definitely a lot of other factors in that equation too, with birth control, smoking, and stuff like that were factors. So obviously, but and my heart goes out to those people. But I'm not worried about myself. But anyway, so let's get back to it. So where did you grow up?
I actually grew up in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Northwest Philadelphia, Roxborough, Mannion.
What was that like?
It was good. Went to all Catholic schools. Mom would move us pretty much every year that the lease was up. So I went to almost every Catholic school within a 5-mile radius in my 8 years of schooling in Philly. So it was interesting. It was a good time. I liked it.
Yeah.
I miss it. It's it's my hometown. I miss running the streets.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, what was it like because I went to a Catholic school for middle school, and it was just You know, it was just regular school, but then you had to attend mass and everything and all that other stuff. I didn't have any problems or anything like that. I actually like some of my teachers, but I know like other Catholic schools, I don't know if it was hardcore or anything like that. Like, but
Mine weren't bad. I mostly had lay teachers. I had like one nun as a teacher through the whole thing, but no, it was a fine experience. You know, we moved so much that I was always just kind of the loner. You know,
uh,
it's every year you come into a new school. By the time you're getting ready to leave, you just made some friends, and it's like, all right, see you later.
it must have been hard.
Yeah,
Yeah, making new friends everywhere you go. Yeah. Um, yeah, and on top of that, like growing up trying to fit in too, and then having to make new friends and stuff like that too. I get it. I mean, I didn't move around as much as you did. You know, I've been in pretty much one area, but I've always been kind of the outsider myself, trying to fit in and stuff like that. And it took a long time to
yeah.
grow into the person that I am right now, to be comfortable in my own skin and just be like, nah, you know, I'm me. You know, so
Yeah, I
um,
think that happened like last month for me.
really.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
It took a long.
You can't trap me like that. Come on, because I got questions. But did you have any sort of like struggles and stuff like with all that moving around and stuff like that, like mental health wise or anything? Because you know that must have been, like I said, really hard for you.
That wasn't the tough part. I think more of the toughest part of my upbringing was my mother was a server, as a bartender,
Okay.
which a great profession. Yeah, she's done it for 20 some odd years. She's awesome at her job, but that left me alone the majority of my, upbringing, because she would work nights and they're, see you in the morning, and, pretty much
Hmm.
only see her in the morning for days at a time. So um it was tough, but I've always adapted well to things like that. So made me independent
Were
and
you a
able
single
to,
child or
up until 10.
okay?
I would say when I was 10 years old, I was diagnosed with a little sister.
Diagnosed diagnosed.
I came down with a little sister. But no, yeah. So I have a little sister who's 10 years younger than me, and then I actually have a little brother who's 20 years younger than me.
Oh,
So
okay,
we're all 10 years apart.
gotcha.
So
But yeah, did you have any sort of like issues with like mental health and or anything? I know that there were some things that you were talking about in the comments when you
yeah,
reached out and stuff. Like,
a
did
lot of
anything develop when you were younger, or just as you got
I
older?
remember some therapy sessions. I don't remember a lot of the details. I think I was barking at kids and throwing chairs in like kindergarten.
Like anger problems? Like,
That just sounds weird to me. I don't think I was mad. I think I thought I was a dog. And I
hmm,
remember being in therapy at that age and just, playing, making things out of clay, talking to the therapist. And it's actually been a thread throughout my life. I've never had a problem, going to therapy, and I've been seeing therapists off and on for almost my
hmm,
entire life. So the other one was I was actually attacked by 4 dogs when I was 11.
wow,
That led to nightmares, and that led to another session with a different therapist years later.
gotcha.
And we played, I forget if it was Go or Othello, the board game with the black and white chips.
Okay,
Yeah. So and with same thing, just I guess that's how they do it with kids in therapy. They just play a board game and chat.
right.
So
Were you able to like overcome your fear of dogs after that, or was
for the
it?
most part, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
I'll
good.
still get a
Hmm.
little nervous around, a dog off the leash. But overall, I mean, dogs are awesome.
Was there any sort of like diagnosis or anything like depression, anxiety, PTSD, stuff like
Not at,
that?
not at that age, not till I was older.
Okay.
I really didn't start to struggle till I got older.
Okay. So what was it like you know, as you got older with your mental health? Like what was going on in your life that like sort of led to that kind of stuff and going back to therapy?
Just the depression got out of hand, and it took me a long time to recognize what was going on, and then be able to come to terms with addressing it and trying to get it fixed. Which led to, I think they might have went hand in hand, the drinking,
Okay.
the excessive drinking, and the depression. It's kind of say when one or the other started. Hard to say when one or the other started.
Hmm.
So whether I was self-medicating or I was just partying too much, and that led to, you know, a bout of depression being triggered, but it's hard to separate the threads.
Hmm. No, I
Uh,
hear you. It was a lot like that for me too, like throughout my 20s and stuff. Just definitely a lot of self-medicating and over drinking and partying too much. I was engaged at a young age too, but I just that I'm glad that didn't happen because it was with definitely the wrong person. But it definitely screwed me up for a while. I was injured on top of it. I was out of work, super depressed.
yeah.
And actually, today is like the 8-year anniversary since I had my spinal surgery. So I'm still going strong, thankfully. But I was out
Wow.
of work for a while, and I was just super depressed. I just broke up with my fiance at the time. I was out of work. I was injured from a work-related accident. Didn't know what to do, and I was just drinking all the fucking time. Um, Trying to escape from my problems, and then I got into music to escape from my problems, which helped. It helped my creativity and stuff, but I definitely should have been in therapy at that age to like figure stuff out and get through it. And it wasn't until I definitely had therapy when I was younger. Like when my parents got divorced and everything, I had to go through therapy and stuff and kind of deal with that, and it definitely helped me get through high school. But I didn't go back to a therapist until a few years ago after my it was right before a friend of mine committed suicide,
Mm.
and I was going through some problems myself, and I've said on the show plenty of times like how dark that time was for me. Just like feeling really bad about my life and my what I was just going through. I was with a girl, we broke up, things weren't great with my family. Wasn't happy what I was doing. Actually, was I employed yet? Yeah, no, I was. I just started the job that I'm at right now, and I just wasn't happy. And I was, I guess, making plans to kill myself without actually thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I had, I had emergency. I still have emergency contacts on my fridge because I live alone.
Right.
You never know. Like, God forbid if anything ever happens, like, who the hell are you gonna call? So I got emergency contacts on my fridge. I gave keys to like some friends of mine, to my place and stuff. And they're like, what's this for? I'm like, well, dude, I live alone. Like, what if something happens to me? You know what I mean? Like, you
Right.
got to take care of my affairs and stuff. And my buddy Scott was like, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, why? You don't seem okay. You seem kind of off. Something's wrong. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And that was the biggest fucking lie I've told
Mm.
myself. Cause like, and then I started writing on a will. Like, who the fuck does that? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
started typing up stuff on my computer and I'm looking at it. And I finally had that perspective, like an outside perspective. Sorry, my cat's in the background.
Mm.
Um, I just brought her back
Yeah.
from the groomer. She did not have a good time at the groomer, but anyway, um, long story short, I looked at it from an outside perspective and I was just like, this seems like something a suicidal person would be doing right
Right.
now. So I was like, am I planning on killing myself? And then when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, this seems like I'm ready to commit suicide. So I immediately was looking for therapists. I found one in my town. I was seeing her for a year, like twice a week, working through it. Um, and then she ended up leaving the practice like right towards the end when I was kind of feeling okay again. And then I just recently started therapy again with a new therapist. Like I was having panic attacks for the
Right.
last few months, and I just never really knew what the hell was going on. Like I would have like this chest pain. I couldn't breathe. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And I finally researched it. And I'm like, why am I having these issues? And it turned out they were panic attacks. So I talked to my doctor. She had me see a new therapist. I just started Lexapro. I think I'm on week 2 now. I think I'm starting to feel the effects. Like it's a very low dose, but I mean, like I would get stuck in my head a lot about like certain things and over analyzing things. Now, not so
That,
much anymore.
that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, not so much anymore. Like if I think about like something just happened to me today, by the way, that I was thinking about a little bit after because I just felt really embarrassed about it. But while my cat was at the grooming office, and I'm also really tired, it's a really long work week.
Mhm.
So I was like, hey, let me kill some time. So I went down to the comic book shop down the road from the grooming office, and I know the owner, so I stopped in. I was like, hey man, what's going on? I said the wrong name. Not once,
Right.
not once, but twice. And at the second time he corrected me, I'm like, God damn it. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, like
And now you're not going to be able to let that go.
Right, exactly. And I couldn't let it go. I felt so embarrassed, and I was like, man, I'm so sorry. I'm just overtired. I've got a lot going on today. My bad. It's been a long time since I've seen you. He's like, nah, man, it's fine. It's fine. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's not okay. Like, and then like, I felt so fucking bad afterward. I still bought a few things anyway, but like after I left, that's all I was thinking about.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? But like, and then I just was like, he doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like it happens. It doesn't matter. Why does it matter to you that much? And then I was just like, yeah, okay, I'll get over it. You know what I mean?
I'd be able to turn that little switch off and be like, you know what, it doesn't matter, and then you and get back to center.
Exactly. But it's like things like that would happen all the time. You know what I mean? In my head, where I would think about something like that, and the Lexapro is kind of helping with that because now I'm not thinking about it so much. You know what I mean? So
that was one I had tried and did not work for me.
Okay.
I skipped medicine up until the last maybe 2 or 3 years. Just didn't want to do it.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd rather keep, CBT going, or just, talking therapy.
You're doing CBT too?
A little bit. I was for a little while. Yeah.
I never knew what that was until my new therapist explained that to me. I'm like, well, what is that? And it's kind of like things that you like do to yourself, like pressure points. Not really pressure points, but like parts on your body where I guess they feel comfortable to you or something, like you tap on or whatever, and then you like have like a mantra that you say to yourself or something like that. And I'm like,
for me, I took it more as like a mindfulness. It was almost like a meditation alternative almost, or so. But yeah, no, the Lexapro made it everything I was feeling like 10 times worse. I lasted about 2 days on it, and I was like, I called my therapist and I was like, this is not working.
Was it a low dose or was it a very high dose?
I believe it was a lower dose.
Okay.
My therapist is pretty good, so she knows, we'll ease you onto this. You've never been on anything before.
Right.
So, and within 2 days, I was like, I'm literally crawling out of my skin. I was like, this is doing the opposite.
Did they try something else, or?
Yeah, we tried one other one that I can't remember that didn't work. And then we finally settled on lamotrigine.
Okay.
Which is an anti-seizure medicine, actually, but it has anti-anxiety properties. And I've been on that for probably 2 or 3 years, and seems to do the trick.
Well, that's good. At least I found something for you.
Yeah,
like CBT. For those listening, again, like Christopher was saying, it's kind of like a meditation, almost kind of thing, like kind of like tricking your brain. Not really tricking, but like switching gears in your brain to like get yourself out of the funk that you're currently in. You know what I mean? And the way my therapist, I'm just branching off to like explain it a little bit more. The way my therapist explained it was we did like a whole bunch of like tapping on our bodies, like, like on my head, on my shoulders, on my hand, on the back of my hand. I forget all of them, but I found that in between my my pinky knuckle and my ring finger, when I would tap that, I was like, okay, that feels kind of nice. You know what I mean? Like it's not really like annoying me. You know what I mean? Where like a lot of the other places where that she was, and I would just like lightly tap that. I'm like, that feels kind of nice. I like that. She's like, okay, that's your spot. Lightly tap that, and then you're gonna say, she gave me an example. She's like, I am sad, but I'm doing the best I can. And I'm like, okay. So then like I'd say that like 3 times. I'd take a deep breath, exhale, take another deep breath, exhale. And she'd, after I was done doing this, she'd be like, how do you feel? I'm like, a little better. She was like, okay, let's do it again. So we did it again. And by the end of it, I'm like, yeah, I actually do feel a little. And I was like bawling my eyes out when I was talking to her during that session about like something. And then we ran through that. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually kind of cool. Like, I'm just.
It's like it's a form of grounding. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
It cleans your brain off of all that crazy shit. And it starts, okay, I have to focus here. And then it's, like it's meditative to me,
Exactly. So if you're out there and you're having trouble, like definitely like if you're already seeing a therapist or something like that, or you're not or whatever, and you want to see a therapist, definitely do some research with CBT. It's very, very like Christopher's saying, it's very grounding. It's very it's just meditative or whatever. It just helps you relax. You know what I mean? It definitely switches gears in your brain to like focus on the present again, kind of thing, I guess. But yeah, no, that's great. What trying to think. Was there anything else like going on in your life? Like are you currently seeing a therapist right now? Are you still seeing a therapist?
I am, yes. We're down to basically just med checks.
Okay.
Every I see her, we'll talk still Zoom, but we'll talk every 3 months and just be like, she's like, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? And I'm just like, good. And then that's pretty much it. So
here's $40,
Right, exactly. Yeah. Another copay down the drain.
Right.
But,
right.
So, but that's, that's good news that it's working. And a lot of it was external stressors that have been sorted out, that now everything's mellowing out, everything's a little more even keeled. So that's helped me become, get back to being more even keeled. Because the anxiety was new.
Right.
The last few years. That was a new one to me. I was used to depression.
Same, absolute same.
That I despise myself. I'm worthless. I don't want to live, get out of bed, that kind of state. I spent years in that state. And it's like you said, it got to a point where I went even a little bit further than you. I had a bottle of pills and a bottle of booze sat down in front of me, like ready to crack it open and just take go.
Right.
It got that far for me. And I believe that night I did call a suicide hotline. And they helped me talk me down. And, from there, I didn't do anything to fix it then. And I just kept going with the drinking. I think I put the pills away, but I probably finished that bottle. So
well, at least you made the right choice to like pick up the phone and call somebody.
I'm glad I did.
Yeah, exactly. Or else we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
I would have missed out on a lot. I was 22, 23 at that time. Maybe a little younger.
How old are you now?
I'm 38.
Oh, okay.
So all right. This is quite some time ago. So
right.
Well, yeah. The drinking was way out of hand. I wouldn't, if I didn't have a 12 or 18 pack to myself, I wouldn't even bother. Binging has always been the ticket for me. The weekend warrior thing. I would drink from 5:01 Friday till 8:59 on Monday morning. So
are you recovering like alcoholic, or do you still drink? Or
I'm not. I do still drink.
Okay.
In moderation, like a normal person.
Right.
I never really felt that I went over that full-blown alcoholic line. I probably got as close to it as you can without needing like an intervention or a program like AA. A lot of things happened. There's a lot of things I did that I'm not proud of. I drove drunk. I hit mailboxes. Fights. The whole 9 yards. It's a miracle I didn't get arrested or
exactly
we're dead. But I was able to on my own just recognize it and be like, all right, this has to stop. I'm going to kill myself or somebody else, or my relationships are falling apart. I almost lost my job. I showed up 4 hours late, drunk, and my boss was like, "Get the fuck out. Take the rest of the week off, and we'll have a talk when you get back." So they didn't fire me for that one, which was good.
Technically they're not supposed to, but they have to like send you for help kind of thing. Like, and if it keeps repeating, I think that's when they have the choice of getting rid of you. But legally, from a standpoint like that,
I didn't know that myself.
Yeah.
So, but that's just one of many incidences where I was just like little wake up calls, sober up for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and then it back down the rabbit hole. So, but it's under control now. So
that's good.
I can go out and have a couple of drinks, and I can even be a designated driver. And that was something that was an impossibility for me like 10 years ago. There was no way I was going out to a bar with friends and I could have one or two over the course. It just was not going to happen. I was probably going to be the drunkest person, end up stumbling home and probably drink until the sun came up. And to be now, 10 to 5 years later, being able to go out with my girlfriend and take her to dinner or a bar and actually only have a couple of drinks and come home sober, drive, it's a big difference.
I'm in the same boat right now. My drinking that was another reason why I went back a few years ago, back to therapy, because my drinking was getting out of control. I was drinking every day. Not so much like getting drunk, but like almost like binge drinking too. Like I would just I wouldn't drink to get drunk. I would just drink not to feel, you know what I mean? And just like take the edge off because I just didn't want to think about shit. And, alcoholism runs in my family. Thankfully, my father isn't an alcoholic, but his father was. I never met my grandfather. He died when my dad was 16. But he was an abusive alcoholic. Every month when he would get his check from the VA or whatever, for his veterans check or whatever, it went straight to booze.
Yep.
I'm not going to talk about stories and stuff like that, but my dad definitely had a rough childhood. And it rubbed off on him the wrong way. He grew up not being able to trust people. He still has problems trusting people, and he's 66 now, somewhere around there. But his health is like totally fucked now because he's got all this anger he never dealt with. He's had a heart attack already. He just had a surgery recently for a hernia. He's got pulmonary fibrosis in his lungs, and it's just like he's not good. And I don't want to be like that, and I don't want to be like his father either. So I was able to, sorry, it's background noise. I was able to like realize that, talk to somebody about it, and take better control of my drinking habits. Cause I was like, I still enjoy drinking, but like, I don't want to drink every day anymore. I want to moderately drink, have a good time with friends, or like, especially during the pandemic, which we could talk about too with like mental health a little bit. I would just much rather drink at home, because like I started streaming on Twitch a lot last year during the pandemic and everything. It was a way for me to still hang out with friends and play video games. But yeah, I would drink during my streams, like I don't really care. It's just a way to chill out with my friends and have a good time. But I'm not drinking during the week anymore. I'm working during the week. I work through the week. I work out. I eat healthy-ish. Try to, but I wouldn't drink during the week because I'm just like that. The end of the week is when I can have some fun, moderately, not kill myself. You know what I mean? And just and that's how it's been for me. I'm just I'm a lot better now. Therapy definitely helped me through that a lot. My therapist would give me challenges like, here's an idea: don't drink today, don't drink tomorrow. Set a goal for yourself. Like when Friday comes and you reach for that drink, you earned it because you didn't have one all week. And I'm like, okay. And then she was like, did you work out today? No. Well, how does that make you feel right now? I'm like, I feel like shit. She was like, well, when you get out of here, go work out. I'm like, I don't want to though.
Those are the ones you need though. The ones you don't want to go to are the ones you need.
Exactly. If your therapist is not challenging you, you're seeing the wrong therapist. Like if they're just sitting there listening to you without any advice or ways to help you or challenge you, you need a new therapist. Plain and simple.
Right.
But yeah, like has the pandemic, like you said, you've been taking this medication for a number of years to help with anxiety and stuff. But like, I know the pandemic has been rough, not just on a health level. Like I know a lot of people lost their lives and stuff, but mentally, like a lot of people realized they had mental health problems because of this pandemic. Did that affect you at all?
Honestly, it didn't. I'm in such a strong place now that like I said at the beginning, it's a blessing that we did as well as we did, and it hasn't been a toll. But I think had this happened, back in my early 20s, I probably wouldn't have made it through it. If the work had told me, okay, you can just work from home now, I would have probably been drinking 24/7. So I think the spot that I'm in now is definitely beneficial with everything that's going on.
That's good, man. That's
Yeah.
good for you, man. Because
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think my anxiety came out during this pandemic, and I'm
Right.
just like, what the hell is going on? But
Yeah.
I'm glad I got a little bit of control on it now. So, but let's switch gears a little bit. You're a Krav Maga, MMA, and BJJ instructor. How did you get into that?
Let me just not correct you. It's mostly just jujitsu.
Just jujitsu. Okay.
Yeah, I'm certified to teach Krav Maga, but I don't want to give the wrong impression that
Okay. You're experienced in martial arts and could probably kick my ass. Got it.
No. Only if we start on the ground and you have a really big jacket for me to strangle you with.
But how did you get into that?
It's a pretty typical story. I was watching the UFC. A couple of buddies of mine, my buddy Roy, my buddy Alani, they kind of around the same time introduced me to it. And like most things that slightly piqued my interest, I dived head first into it. I bought a bunch of DVDs, and it's all I watched for probably close to a year straight. And just listening to the commentary, the Joe Rogan commentary, the way he breaks down the jujitsu as a jujitsu practitioner himself, I was like, I would like to try this. And I did. And I was probably 230 pounds my first class. And I puked my guts out because up until that point, I had done literally nothing. I had sat on the couch, eating pizza, drinking beer, and watching the UFC. Yeah. So, I mean, literally, I didn't even do any sports in high school. So I went from kind of a completely sedentary lifestyle to, try to struggle to stop somebody from strangling you without knowing how. And that first class, first two classes, probably I got sick. But I loved it. I came back for more the next day, and I haven't stopped. So that was my introduction. And it's been, I mentioned my weight. If nothing else, one of the biggest benefits is that I lost over 60 pounds now. Like I said, I was 230. Now I've just competed 2 weekends ago. I was 165 pounds.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I would try it, but like I've had spinal surgery already, and I don't want to, you know what I mean? So
I try to recommend it to everybody, and again, it's not going to be for everybody, but.
Right. Well, that's cool though.
Yeah.
So you moved up from there. How did you become an instructor?
It's not something that was really on my radar, but I went to our head instructor, Dennis Hill, and I had just gotten promoted to the belt where you can start teaching. And I was just like, hey, you ever need anybody to cover a class or come in for the mornings and open the door? And he was like, well, we've got an opening for Mondays and Wednesdays for an instructor. And I was like, I freaked out, but I don't think that's something I would have said yes to in the past. And I think it's through, jujitsu and martial arts in general, just build self-confidence. I was like, you know what, fuck it. Yeah, let's do it. That's kind of my mantra now is fuck it, let's do it. If it fails, whatever it is, it's probably not going to kill me. And it's probably not going to bankrupt me. And I'll try anything. And I said yes to that. And now here we are 5 years later and going strong.
How many classes do you teach?
3 a week. I do Monday and Wednesday night, and then Sundays we run like an open mat kind of. Just
what are the age differences? Like, are they like young kids, or are they mainly just all adults?
I don't do the kids classes. Okay. I can cover them. I've done them from time to time. But I'm pretty much primarily with the adults.
Gotcha.
So
that's very cool. Have you ever competed at all, or?
Tons.
Okay.
Tons. Yeah, I'm still hard at it, and that's been a bit of an experience. I didn't get a win for probably my first 6 years.
Wow.
Which was super demoralizing. And I would compete 3, 4, 5 times a year, and I just couldn't. Maybe I got, I think, one win in that time, and it was just, yeah, like I said, demoralizing. But I stuck with it. And I don't know why, just something about competing, stepping out on the mat. There's no punching or striking or anything like that. It's almost like a high school wrestling match.
Right.
With submissions available for people that aren't familiar with the sport. That's probably.
Have you ever gotten injured though?
knocking on wood now.
That's
No,
good.
I tweaked my knee a little bit like 2 weeks ago. It's fine now.
That's good.
I don't think I've spent more than 6 weeks off the mat in the last almost 9 years.
Very cool.
So, but with the competition, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I finally started to put some wins together. And now I'm, winning more often than not, which is cool, which is the goal. So I'm pushing myself towards bigger events. So instead of just like your local kind of tournament, I'm trying to get out there to almost like a fight card, but of grappling.
Nice.
So 2 weeks ago, I did one in New Hampshire. I mean, I was actually the main event, which was super cool, but I got smoked in like 45 seconds by some dude that was just on another level. But yeah, it's about the experience. It's about the day before I had competed at a different tournament, and that day I won. I beat my two guys in that division. So it's some days you're the hammer and some days you're the nail.
That's a good expression. I like that. I do have a funny story though. Like I said, I've never competed like that or anything. I did take martial arts when I was a kid, but like nothing serious or anything. And we stopped going because I couldn't find my belt one day. Yeah. And my mother was like, "That's it. You're not going anymore." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Anyway,
we have a pink belt for that scenario.
Anyway, I want to say this is a couple years ago. This was definitely before the pandemic. I did a lot of video work for like bands, like live events and stuff like that. Just like, help them out. I do like GoPros on their instruments and stuff, give them like 5 different angles of like their performance and stuff. So, but for some reason people thought I did music videos, and I'm like, I don't do music videos at all. But, some people still think I did, but whatever. I still help them out and record their sets or whatever they had going on. So I got hit up by my friend Opus of Dead by Wednesday. What's going on, buddy? If you are listening. Yep. He hit me up and he was like, "Hey, I need an extra camera guy for this video we're going to be doing." I'm like, it was like, "Is it a live video? What is it?" He said, "No, it's for a music video." I'm like, "My equipment's not really made for like, music videos." He was like, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's a camera.
Like, it's a camera. It'll work. Don't worry about it. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I got paid for it. So I'm like, "What are we doing?" I can't really say it. I'm like, "Can you give me like any sort of hint whatsoever?" And he was like, "Well, we're going to Mass." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, so he was like, "You're just going to hop in our car and we're going to go." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." I have no idea what I'm filming. No direction whatsoever. Until we got into the car and we were like halfway up there, he was like, "All right, I'm going to tell you what we're doing." I'm like, "Finally," so I'm like, "What are we doing?" He says, "So we're going to my buddy's gym. And he's going to be fighting this other guy, and that's just going to be the story of the music video." I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "Cool." Like, so it's going to be just like a boxing match. It's like, kind of like UFC-ish, like boxing. I'm like, "All right, cool." So I had the basic idea. I had no idea. Like, I'm not really a UFC guy. I don't watch the fights, but I do know some of the competitors a little bit. So we get to the gym. We're waiting for the guy to come in. Guy pulls up in a Ford F-150, gets out of the truck. I look at him and I'm like, "This guy looks so familiar. Like, who the fuck is this guy?" So he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming. Blah, blah, blah." And Opus is like, "Yeah, thanks for, doing this and everything." And then the boxer that was competing with him in the video shows up and we all like hung out and talked and everything. So we get into the gym and then I see his poster on the wall. It's fucking Gabriel Gonzaga.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, I know this guy." And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense now. Like, I'm looking at this guy the whole time. I'm like, where have I seen this guy before? And his poster is right there on the door.
That's a large human. That's a big man. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen him out at a lot of them come out and coach their competitors. So
the time we did the video, like literally the week of, he just won the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Heavyweight title or something like that.
Yeah.
So, which was crazy. Yeah. But like we walk in, he was super nice, super nice guy, everything, he was more than happy to do the video and everything like that. But I would not piss him off because like I immediately saw how strong this guy was. Like, we were just filming him, like working out, punching bags and everything, doing kicks and everything. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So like we did the whole video, had a great time. We took some photos and I didn't have to do any of the editing, which was a bonus because I didn't know where the hell I was going to start. Yeah. So the guy they hired to edit and directed all the editing, shout out to Gary. And it came out great. If you want to see the video, it's called Beat Down and Broken by Dead by Wednesday. Check it out.
I know I will. I know a couple of the guys in that band.
They're all great guys.
Check them out.
Opus has definitely given me a lot of help over the years and a lot of opportunities. So I love that guy. He's super friendly, very professional, and he's always looked out for the scene. And I have a lot of respect for Opus. So shout out to you, Opus, man. Definitely check out Dead by Wednesday. Everybody listening right now, but yeah, that was like a super crazy story. I'm like, I had no idea I was going to be filming this guy today. Like, so.
Yeah, people, that's really cool.
Yeah. So that's how I can relate to this a little bit,
Well, it's funny too that's where that story went. That avenue is because that's where most of my drinking was at the local metal shows. I'm a diehard metal fan. Branched out a little bit these days, but through the majority of my youth and up until my late 20s, that was it. Metal and nothing. And
you might have seen me play then. I used to be the singer for In the Red back in the day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I recognize that name. Yeah, I probably did. We've gone to a bunch. I was basically an unofficial roadie. Half my friends are all in bands, so it's good times, good scene, good people. But,
miss the scene.
Yeah, definitely.
Miss shows. I can't wait for some shows again. They're finally happening. Thank God.
They're coming back. I actually live not too far from Cherry Street.
Oh, nice.
So I know they're about due to start coming back. So
yeah, they got a Memorial Day show coming up. By the time this episode airs, it's already gonna have passed. But they did a fundraiser, a GoFundMe to help reopen the bar and everything. I definitely donated. They made like more than half their goal in like 3 days. I was awesome. Like, Jesus, like that's amazing. So shout out to Cherry Street.
Yeah, I love that place. I think I've had my birthday party there for probably close to 10 years straight.
We probably run into each other. We probably did.
Yeah.
I've been to Cherry Street quite a few times, and I've played Cherry Street quite a few times too for a lot of bangers and stuff. So
I did my book release there too as well.
Nice.
That was like a joint birthday book release party. So
very cool. Very cool. So let's talk about future plans and stuff. Like, you've got like I said, the pandemic is like slowly coming to an end, hopefully, knock on wood. You're doing a lot of teaching and stuff like that. You're competing. Like, what do you got going on coming up?
I think the biggest thing now is, and it's something I just put into the works this week, is I'm actually going to be looking to start my own school. Actually, I talked to my head instructor, and you got to do these things the right way. So we sat down and had a nice little heart to heart, and I was just like, my passion for this is as such as I just want to, spend as much of my time doing this, and start trying to do it for myself a little bit.
Right. Was there a lot of, I meant to ask this and I forgot to, but has there been a lot of challenges during the pandemic with teaching and stuff? Because like mainly the physical contact aspect of it. And when COVID first started, like obviously business probably, you didn't have any business for a while. You probably weren't teaching or anything because the restrictions were so high and stuff. But like as things started, like, the vaccine started coming out and everything like that. What was it like from the beginning of the pandemic and restrictions slowly started easing up, like for teaching this kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, we basically have the worst hobby in the world to have during a pandemic where we all rub our sweaty faces all over each other. So there's no social distancing in jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
But no, that was probably the hardest part initially, is not being able to train, not being able to roll. The school shut down. We tried our best. I did, a handful of videos from the garage, some kickboxing or some, body weight routines just to still see people. We did them over Zoom, just to still see people and kind of keep it going. But for God, there was nothing. So that was a bummer, because I think for me, the jiu-jitsu has probably been the most helpful tool to get me sober and to keep me sober. So if I go too long without training, I get, a little iffy. I get a little cranky. And so, it, excuse me, sorry. So it was rough there for a few months, but we came back and the school was open. We were still social distancing, but that's, again, it's still not the same sport.
Right.
Without, it's like wrestling without contact, you're not really training. But
were people like required to get tested before coming in and like doing a lot of the fighting and stuff, or
we weren't doing that. We were doing, anybody who competed had to get tested.
Okay.
Which was fair. I probably been tested 8, 9, 10 times for that and various reasons. But no, we, masks. We had our masks, and we're still training with them as of now. But we're pretty much good to go. Once the state lifts the restrictions, I'm pretty sure we will be too.
Okay.
So,
cool.
But yeah, no, it was tough there for a while.
I hear you. When right now Connecticut's in the lead for most adult vaccines taken. Hell yeah, we're almost at 70% or something like that. Like 70% of adults in the state of Connecticut have all gotten vaccines already, or at least one vaccine. So hell yeah, we're number one in the country, baby.
Yeah.
Still the highest tax state too. One of them.
Something.
But anyway, yeah, future plans. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest one on my radar right now. Just kind of keep on keeping on. Start working on that. It's going to be a long struggle. It's not going to be easy. Like I said earlier, anything that's kind of like a daunting challenge is almost more attractive to me now than it would have been in the past.
Right.
The more difficult something is, the more I kind of want to be like, let me try that. Let me get some of that.
Hell yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Good for you, man. Like,
Yeah,
you know, life is nothing but challenges, and it's just how we have to overcome or fight through them. No pun intended.
Right.
That make us better people, man. So that's awesome, man. This was great. Do you want to plug anything before we get going?
No, I write poetry. I got a couple of books out there.
Where can people find your books?
It's on Amazon. You can search my name, Christopher Rowan, on Amazon as an author.
I had no idea you were into poetry. That's amazing, dude.
No, yeah. That's a whole other story in and of itself.
Well, we got time.
Okay. That's, I think always been a reader, always loved to read. Like I said, I spent a lot of time alone as a kid. So a lot of that time was spent reading, and anything I spent a lot of time observing, I want to start partaking in. When I was a metalhead, I wanted to be a guitar player. I watched too much UFC, and now I'm out. I'm a Brazilian jiu-jitsu competitor. I read a lot, and I started doing a lot of writing, and it was just short stories expanded into like little novellas. They weren't any good, but whose writing is at 11. I think I failed history in 6th grade because I spent that entire class term writing like 50-page novel and its sequel. So, which I actually still have, and every now and again I'll flip through and just, oh my god,
yeesh. Yeah, cringe.
But
that's how I am with a lot of my lyrics from back in the day. I'm like, ugh.
That's the exact segue is that I started that transition into lyrics. I wanted to be a singer, as a diehard metal fan, and I started kind of that Cannibal Corpse route, horror lyrics, death metal lyrics, and I couldn't sing. And I couldn't, play any instruments. So from there, I sort of got into poetry a little bit, and I was like, okay, verse, chorus, similar to stanzas and stuff like that. So I started transitioning to poetry, and that was a very helpful outlet for the depression as well. Because if I can get it down on, pen and paper and out of my head, it helps alleviate it to some degree.
Oh yeah, dude. That's what I just started recently too. my plan is to eventually make new music again. I've already got a drummer and a bass player lined up. Go figure, right? We got a vocalist, we got a drummer, and we got a bass player. I'm looking for guitarists right now, which are the easiest thing to find.
Right.
A drummer, a bass player, and a vocalist are impossible to find. But anyway,
I've heard the stories. I've been on the sidelines for a lot of those circuits.
But all I've been doing is just writing. I have a composition book next to on my nightstand. Just like if I'm feeling a certain way every night before I go to bed, I just write, So, and it doesn't have to rhyme. I'm just bleeding it all out onto paper, and then I'll make sense of it later. But yeah, that's usually how I work on stuff. And then when it comes to the music aspect, I usually just play around with the music before I actually write something. But no, it's awesome though. I think everyone should definitely check out your poetry. It's on Amazon. Look up Christopher Rowan. Where can people find you if they want to get lessons?
I'm currently at CT Krav Maga and MMA. That's in North Brantford. So if you guys want to come down there and check us out. So
very cool. Do you have a name? Do you have a name for when eventually you have your own place, or is that a secret for right now?
That's a secret for right now.
Okay, cool.
So, like I said, I literally just started the official process this week. So, and this is anybody who knows me who listens to this. That's actually probably not a bombshell, but it's going to be something that most people don't know.
Well, whenever it happens, let me know. I'll throw you some free advertisement for you. Sound good?
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Sounds good. I'm going to make some plugs myself. We'll wind it down, and then, we'll talk off air for a few minutes. Sound good?
Sure.
All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hi, how are you? Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon to get notified every time we drop a new video. If you're listening on audio, we're available on all major podcast networks. Make sure to hit that follow button. If you're listening on Apple or Google Podcasts, 5-star rating would be appreciated. Leave us a review. I'd love to read it. I just got hit up from a few friends of mine. They're like, how do I find your podcast? Hey, guess what? Go to the Facebook page, go to the Instagram page, go to the Twitter page. The link is right there. Just click on it. You can find direct links to where you can find the podcast. But again, we're available on all major podcast networks. Again, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled Podcast. We're on Instagram and Twitter at RWT Pod. We have a Facebook group, the Road Trippers group. It's an amazing page. I haven't been posted in a few days, and I do apologize, but it's just a group page where everyone gets together. There's no negativity whatsoever. No political posts. No bullshit, whatever. It's just nothing but positivity to help people through the day. So if you're having problems with mental health, you need to vent, you need to talk to somebody, that's what the page is there for, because we have a great community of listeners that are all there to support you. So feel free to join. We'd appreciate it. We're also available on Patreon, patreon.com/Roads We've Traveled. If you want to help support the show, you can go there. We have merch available on TeePublic. I'm not currently wearing a shirt right now, but I have 2 shirts already that look and feel really good. Definitely check it out. Was that it? Oh, you want to email the show? roadwe'vetraveledpodcast@gmail.com. Get me your questions, your comments, your stories. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow me at twitch.tv/JRBuckleGaming. I finally started playing through the Mass Effect series. Hell yeah. Love that series. The Legendary Edition just dropped yesterday. As I'm recording this, it's May 15th. So this episode will be out in June. Sorry. But I'll probably still be playing the franchise. So if you want to head over to Twitch and say hi, I stream on the weekends. And you could check out my portfolio at www.alanmpelletierjr.com. Chris, man, this was awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks for reaching out and being a guest, man. This is great. I'd love to have you come back sometime.
Yeah, thank you to MJ for dropping my name. I don't consider myself podcast worthy. I don't know that this is something I would have done 10 years ago. But like I said, I'm all about things that are outside of my comfort zone. So when you asked, I was like, I'm terrified, but let's go do it.
Hey, that's all it is, man. It's just conquering your fears, man. And you know what? You had a great story. You had stuff to promote. That's what I'm here for. I'm just here to listen and relate and promote whatever you got going on, man. That's what this podcast is all about. So thank you again for coming, man.
Probably like a third of the story. So,
hey, we'll have you back for part 2.
Awesome.
All right.